I'm just saying, maybe you could work a little bit harder. I've been hearing about this communist utopia for a while now.
Yeah, it
sounds pretty nice.
Fully automated luxury gay space communism, and I love it, and I want it, and we're working on it.
I believe our friend here is familiar with a thing called memes, yes?
Anyway, you know we're recording now, right?
Should I go somewhere else so I don't make noise?
Honestly, I feel like you just doing random stuff in the background is...
yeah, pretty much okay. Like... So at this point, I think it might be time to do our little bit of an intro thing here. So, welcome, dear listeners, to the Dicey Logic Podcast here on the Dicey Logic Channel. A channel for daring adventurers who may not always use their heads. Or, if they do, the logic is fairly dicey.
I find that an unfair characterization, personally. But they may often be my plans that you're criticizing, so...
Listen, many of our players do think with a head very often.
Anyway, my name is Vera. I am the host, and the co-host here is Steven. Yes, I'm taking top billing. Ha!
Good. You're the one editing it. I feel like that's only fair.
Yeah.
I just show up and look pretty, and no one can tell because it's a podcast.
And I'm the one wearing makeup. Anyway, and in the background, occasionally you will hear my fiancée, Angela.
Wait, you guys are engaged?
Oh, God, don't start that.
Yeah, we will start that. It will continue forever.
That's how I got this fucking thing on my left finger. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's not a growth. It's an engagement ring.
Anyway, on this podcast, we'll be discussing mostly gaming stuff. You know, stories from games that we've GM'd or played in, and also some politics, stuff like that. Occasionally, Angela might chime in like she's been doing, mostly because she's just here and we're in my living room. Yay!
It's
You're
very
in my
nice.
living room too, asshole.
Hey! So, yeah, I figure we could start this out with a little bit of an introduction. So, Steven, if you want to go first.
Yeah, sure. So, again, I'm Steven. I've been GMing since I think 2002 or 2003. I started with Shadowrun 3rd Edition.
It's a great place to start.
Which was... No, it was a great place to start because like 80% of that book was really well edited. And then the other 20% was incomprehensible. Or outright hostile. But we'll leave that for another time. Someday I'll tell you all the story of the time I used the Shadowrun 3 vehicle rules. Yes, singular. I can't imagine anyone even wanting to use them more than that. But I've been gaming with Vera for, I don't know, like 8-9 months now?
Yeah, something like that.
And it's a pretty great group, as you will find out soon enough, I guess.
Hopefully. I mean, that those recordings may never see the light of day, but, you know, we can hope.
That's too bad, because they're real good.
Yeah, they are. I mean, the audio quality is terrible. I'm sure we're experiencing similar quality issues here, but whatever.
I mean, we don't have a recording studio. Like, can you hear the people? Is there not that much noise? That's good enough.
Yeah, that's fair.
If you want to improve the quality of our recording, you can subscribe to our Patreon that doesn't exist. Just send checks. Or better yet, money orders. We really like money orders.
I don't want people to think I'm trying to scam them. Come on.
No, I mean, who actually thinks a request for a check in 2019 is legitimate?
Yeah. No, that's fair.
We don't want your money.
It's all,
we do also take Western Union and MoneyGram.
Well, someday we might start a Patreon, but that's not today.
Yeah.
Any other interests besides gaming?
I
mean, besides, tabletop gaming?
Let's see. Comics, religion, politics, sex, like, basically all the stuff you're not supposed to make polite conversation about.
Yeah, sounds about right. I've known you long enough. Now, I guess, I should do my own intro now. I am Vera. But anyway, I've been GMing for about, I want to say, I've been GMing consistently for about 3 years. There was some, yeah, I did have like a little bit of a game group in college, but that was more getting around and telling the story without actually following any rules. And even then, it really didn't last very long. I've got some very interesting stories from that. I also enjoy video games. I enjoy writing. I am trying to learn animation.
Yeah, I don't know why you want to put yourself through that.
Because I want to do storytime animations for the channel, and also because it's just really friggin' cool.
Okay, that's true, but like, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, I might also be somewhat of a masochist.
Well, I mean, nobody's imperfect, I guess.
Yeah, so I am working on a story for the channel. Hopefully, I can do it as an animation type deal. If not, I'll just do it as a reading. But I would say it's mostly about a character that Sheila played. Sheila's one of our friends and also part of our current gaming group. And this character's name was Nex. Nex Runecaster. A half-orc with... Well, I guess the character had like 8 intelligence, but treated it like 6. But Sheila treated it like he had 6 or 5 intelligence. And it just worked out so well because Nex would do these incredibly stupid things that would be perfect for the situation. Like, the team ended up in a haunted mansion. Spoiler alert, they were all supposed to die in the end, and as a GM, I didn't handle it well. I sort of dragged it out. I should have just been like, oh, cutscene. But, live and learn. But they were fighting this ghost thing that ended up being able to take over their bodies. But Quicksilver in Pathfinder hurt undead. So Nex sort of figured this out a little bit, and they ended up finding a tub of Quicksilver. My thought, not like a whole tub, but like a,
Like mercury.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Like a cauldron of it. Because like whoever...
That super toxic heavy metal that drives hatters famously mad?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just making sure I've got the...
Yeah.
Because I haven't heard this before.
Okay, so I gave it to the characters because, like, it was an alchemy lab, the guy inside was obviously experimenting with undead stuff, so he had a thing that he could quickly dunk weapons in and, do what he was gonna do. And also for alchemical purposes. And I figured Nex would go to the rest of the group and be like, hey, I found a thing. No. He picked it up and dumped it on himself. Now the reason this is stupid is because, as you pointed out, Stephen, very toxic, very dangerous, but they're adventurers, so they don't really care about that stuff.
Not a good on birthday.
Yeah, not a good on birthday. But also it's genius because the spirit couldn't touch Nex after that because he was coated in Quicksilver. And it's just like, how is this simultaneously the stupidest and smartest action ever taken by a character?
That happens sometimes.
It does. And it's just oh my god. I was just, as a GM, I was sitting there stunned and I was just like, okay, what does this do now? Well, obviously the spirit can't go through Quicksilver. Oops. Oh, jeez.
So what happened?
Well, I mean, the spirit did eventually kill everyone. It was just very long and drawn out.
Okay.
And eventually the spirit was able to use a mind control thing on Nex, and get him dead. The characters all had backup clones. That's a whole other story. But basically I wanted to get rid of the backup clones. And so my way of doing that was to kill off the party. And again, as a GM, I handled it poorly. It was like my first time doing like a total party kill with a backup plan. Because like it was supposed to be like this big dramatic ending. And I'm always learning. I am a much better GM now. Steven can attest to this.
It's true.
I mean, I still have my moments. I think every GM does. But I mean, it it was a very fascinating moment. And, like, this isn't the first time that Nex had done something like this. It actually became kind of a running gag that one of the important characters who had kind of silently been in the background the whole time, just sort of watching over the party from the future. It was... I don't know where I was going with this story, but, like, this very intelligent gnome called TikTok, I think it was, something like that, he was very much convinced that Nex was just acting dumb, because a lot of Nex's actions were also really fortuitous. And it was just like, so obviously he's just faking it, and he's super intelligent, and he's got everyone else fooled. So yeah, when they finally met him, the guy was like, "Oh, it's the great Nex," and it didn't help that all of the legends that sprang up from Nex painted him as, like, this great sorcerer type person in the future. Because, again, he was just really lucky. And I'm sure you've got a similar story.
Oh, I've got a few. My favorite was from a Shadowrun 5 game that I was a player in. And the theme was basically Charlie's Angels.
Nice.
So I was playing Bosley. And it's interesting.
I'll pretend I know who that is.
He's the guy who gives the Angels missions.
Oh, okay.
Bill Murray played him in the
90s
movies.
Kid. I'm a 90s kid, so keep that in mind.
There were 2 Charlie's Angels movies in the... Okay, I think 1.
I was a kid in the 90s. I wasn't allowed to watch Charlie's Angels.
Weird. Anyway, so my job was to give the party missions and to collect much more money than we brought in and paid them less. So that way we had a reserve to do fun things. So our second or third mission, we were supposed to kidnap this guy who worked for one of the big mega corporations in Shadowrun. And that went bad. But what was great about it is I couldn't make that session. So the GM and I worked out a thing where, like, my character would be off schmoozing with the upper crust of Seattle, doing his fixer networking stuff, while the snatch and grab was taking place. And so in the middle of this party, he gets a phone call. And now, because I wasn't there at the session, I didn't have any idea what the phone call was, so I wrote up like 500-600 word story that ended with my character taking the call and the GM filled in the rest. And what I found out was that the guy that we were supposed to snatch was not a regular human being with a couple of, minor augmentations because it's the future.
Yeah.
But he was a cyber zombie who are people who have had their soul magically welded to their body because they've been replaced with too much machine parts. They're incredibly powerful and dangerous, but that's not all. He was a cyber zombie who is also a full meld, perfect clone thing with a mantis spirit, with like a force of like 8 or 9. So the team like hit him with a car and several like super deadly sniper rounds, and he just got up. And when I say car, I mean like armored van, like maybe a tank. More tank than a car, and he just shrugged it off.
That would be where you just sort of like, nope, I'm out.
Yeah,
and,
well,
walk away.
Unfortunately, once you pick a fight with somebody who can shrug off being hit by a tank at full speed, you've committed. And so, the only other male character was this horrific racist stereotype of a Japanese guy, which a little cringy in retrospect, but you do what you do when you're young and dumb. And he was our like martial arts master, but he didn't speak English well. Like literally, my character taught him English on the plane ride from Japan. Like my character was fleeing Russia, was in Japan, saw this guy beat up like 10 other people, And it was like, hello, friend, you clearly need me, the person who isn't going to use you for his own advantage, to keep you safe.
In Thieves' Camp, that means.
He ended up, a little bit later, so my character, when faced with this, was like, well, I need to duck out of this party, because my players, like, they're good at their jobs, but they're specialists. So they need to have somebody to grease the wheels and make sure that everything is, handled properly. So my character, backs out of the formal engagement, goes off, throws up, because he was not expecting to have to deal with, like, one of the most deadly combinations of things you can have.
Right.
And, like, that might be the most dangerous thing I've ever run into in Shadowrun.
Huh.
Except, well, there was that thing from your game, but
that was me not quite understanding the lore as well as I should have.
Yeah. But regardless, going through the story, he called in a favor and got a warehouse in Seattle that was abandoned, that, like, had been cleared out by the gangs that he was buddies with. So we went there and, like, basically argued for half a session over what to do.
That sounds familiar.
Because, like, this job clearly had some strings attached to it that we had not been informed of. I don't remember how they tracked us, but for some reason, the Ares people, the mega corporation who owned this guy, tracked us down and sent a heavy response team in response.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we kidnapped one of their VPs.
Wait, you actually ended up getting him?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, they kidnapped him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How did they manage that?
Several, like, I think 5 or 6 shots with a sniper rifle. And, like, the way they did it was that he was, like, breaking into the van, and the Japanese guy, Yop, was able to hold him off in hand-to-hand. He couldn't hurt the guy, but his because he only knew martial arts. Like, he had no gun skills, he had like really limited knowledge skills. Like, he put every point he could into punching things good.
That makes sense.
And he was a physical adept, so like
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like he was rolling like 18 or 19 dice for unarmed combat.
Yeah.
So pretty high. And was using the block action to add that to his defense pool.
Right.
So, like, that guy could not hurt him.
It was a stalemate.
It was a stalemate, but, like, we had a sniper. And so, like, eventually, some number of sniper rounds will kill most things.
Yeah.
Sooner or later.
You would think.
Yeah. Also true. So, this heavy response team comes in, and, like, we're kind of kicking around options for it. And Bosley just panics, because he's not a combat character.
Right.
Like, he was a social savant who's able to manipulate stuff and, like, get jobs.
Yeah.
His best combat skill was, like, pistols. And these guys are coming in, like, full, state-of-the-art hardened body armor with, like, 1,000,000 dice to soak. Like, he could probably have rolled every one of, like, I think 12 dice he was rolling for that skill.
And not
gotten all hits and still not done damage to those goons.
Oh, God.
Because hardened armor is crazy. And then, like, as we were retreating back to the van, Yop, like, insists on taking the dude along. And, like, my character was like, no, just leave him. And Yop's like, no, we're going to take this guy. Because we've been through way too much not to.
Okay, I can see that viewpoint.
Through some circumstances, our decker hacked their van and, like, erased the firmware. Which is a great move. Because it's the future and everything's the Internet of Things. And it's all a nightmare.
Yeah, there was actually a cyber attack a ways back, that used the Internet of Things. Like, there's now measures to prevent it, but, like, that was just a few years ago. So, like, we are in the future.
The Internet of Things is a terrible security risk, and even now they are not well protected at all.
Oh, yeah, like
they're basically free botnets for anybody who wants one. So we escaped, and my character remembered an important thing on my character sheet that I'd forgotten earlier in the session.
Right.
Which was that I have a contact who, his name is Lucifer. and he's the leader of the Ancients, who are a Seattle-based elf-only motorcycle gang. Basically the Hells Angels, but for elves. So my character calls Lucifer up and is like, hey, you know how the elves have that fanatical, security-conscious nation in Portland? Because Shadowrun is great.
Oh, yeah.
Best setting.
It really is.
Yeah, I know you don't like the rules. There are many people, and for good reasons. But, like, so my character calls him up and is like, hey, do you know anybody in Portland who might be interested in... And then he described the the guy, and he's like, what the hell did you get into? And so, very, very poshly, I responded, a little bit of business. It might be a good idea to go on a vacation for a bit. And so we met them up, and they gave us a little honor guard tour down to Oregon,
right,
where we were taken in by their state security services and basically given like 2 weeks of a VIP treatment, like full access to their like full military stockpile if we want to buy anything. 2.8 million new yen.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
That's nice.
It was nice, and I wish that campaign had gone on longer than it did. But we'll get to the Yop was the one who did the dumb things.
Oh yeah,
that's the tie-in. But my favorite part of this
through line
is there's a theme. But my favorite part comes after it, so I'm continuing the story.
Oh, okay.
So my character has been given almost 3 million new yen, and like ridiculous access in a notoriously paranoid, I don't want to say rogue nation, but grumpy nation. So I do what any self-respecting fixer does. I give each of the players 250,000 new yen. Leaving me with the better part of 2 million. And, like, that wasn't to screw them. Like, no. That was genuinely because, like, I knew that they were going to blow that on new gear while we had the great access.
Oh, yeah.
And they did. And, like, I wanted to be able to, we have a problem, I can just shell out for a new Ares Roadmaster if we need one.
Yeah.
Like, that was my plan. That was, like, the business funding for the rest of the campaign.
Right.
And then the 2 weeks ended. And our contact in the Tier 10 Gyre government was like, well, Bosley, thank you for bringing us this interesting specimen, but we need you to put him back. Like, we've done everything we have any interest in doing for us, and we put him back together. Like, we've learned all the crazy things. It's been a very high priority for the last couple of weeks, but we really just want you to put him back with Ares, because, like, clearly this is a human bomb who's going to go off for somebody, and we'd like it not to be us. And I asked the GM, is this one of those requests you can refuse? It wasn't.
Yeah. Then, yeah. That sounds like something I would do.
It does. And so they outfitted us with high-end insecticide on our Ares Roadmaster, because it's an insect spirit, and they're magically weak to insecticide.
What? That makes no sense, but okay.
I mean,
they're a spirit.
Yeah, and it poisons their spirits too. Like, it makes as much sense as any other spiritual weakness.
Okay, I guess.
And they needed a weakness that wasn't fire, I guess.
Yeah, well, everything's weak to fire.
Yeah, a lot. But anyway, so we went there, and when I say put it back, I want to be very specific about it. We're taking him back to his house. Like the place we kidnapped him from. Which has a high initiation grade mantis shaman who's his girlfriend.
You just, open the back door, kick him out, and drive?
No, because we also needed to map out their underground catacombs. Oh. So we needed to be close enough for the ultrasound sensor that my character carried on him to get the map. So we got there. most of the team was in the Roadmaster waiting to flatten this house if things went poorly. And so my character was like, well, I've gotta take points on this. This is like what I'm for. So we have this guy basically on like a little truck to carry him like a, we call those medical beds.
Yeah.
So we wheel him up to their front door and just knock. Now they had been called in advance to know that a delivery would be made. And the Mantis Shaman opens it up and introductions are made. I didn't use our real names.
I'm surprised she didn't shoot you on sight.
Well, when you're standing in front of a tank with politeness, it helps sometimes. Unfortunately, then we went inside, and Bosley picked a fight with, like, 6 of those heavy security guys.
What?
That player did a lot of dumb stuff.
Wait, weren't you Bosley?
No, you're right. Yup picked the fight.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, no, thank you for catching that.
Yup picked the fight. Well, I mean, you do dumb stuff, too.
That's true. But not really with this character. This character did pretty well. And things...
Kit, though.
Things escalated. And so Bosley was able to talk them back down. Yup was taken into another room and worked over while we discussed business. And basically, like, the climax of this was the Mantis Shaman using magic to make me tell the truth, while I specifically told the truth, but not necessarily the whole truth, and set up quite a few people to take the fall for our crimes.
Okay.
Because I don't even remember who set that job up, but I set up some people who sent us on a bad mission earlier as the ones who did it, because they started the chain that made it happen.
So you're able to
deceive someone through magical truth detection.
Oh, I love magical truth detection, because it's just like it's so easy to go through and be like, oh yeah, I'm injured, and it's like I could just be talking about my knee, or I could be like, oh, I'm dying, like, either way it's the truth if I say I'm injured.
Yep.
And like it's very easy to be like, well, I know some guys that went in, and it's like, are they allies? Are they enemies? Yeah,
Yeah, it turns out knowing that a statement is not false does not actually make it harder to deceive. So the whole thing ended with yes, you could kill us, but like, we're gonna kill a bunch of you if you try it. Could we please have our buddy back? I know he's annoying, but like, he's actually kind of invaluable. Like, he's specifically why your boyfriend is still alive.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And we got everybody back, and we drove away. And like, as we were going back to our hideout, which we hadn't been to in weeks at that point, like, the bodies of the people we pinned the whole thing on were like found in the river. And like, the whole opening, they're like, well, those were some dangerous people we screwed over. I hope they don't figure out ever that we betrayed them. And then the game fell apart for personal reasons. But we got to have some really memorable moments there.
Yeah, it sounds it. Like, that's kind of like my biggest concern for our group is, what if it falls apart for personal reasons? And, because like, I like this group. Like, when the group first started, you weren't here. We had Moira, and she ended up leaving the group because she just lived too far away to keep doing it so she stayed through the end of the campaign, and then, we started a new campaign, which was not, it was not the Shadowrun campaign that you joined in on. It was another Pathfinder game, which is where I introduced a bunch of interesting characters and stuff that actually one of them carried over into the Shadowrun game, and I think that would be the most dangerous thing you ever encountered, because it was literally a god from another world.
Yeah, well, I wasn't even counting that one.
You weren't?
Well, yeah, I was talking about the cyber dragon
that
guy.
thing. Yeah.
Like, I feel like ineffable god things and great dragons don't really count because they're not really on the player's level even remotely.
Right. No, that makes sense, because, like, either way, you're just dead.
Yeah.
Mechanically, it's just either way, you're gone.
Yeah. Whereas, like, it is conceivable that some combination of fatal things could have killed that dragon cyborg. I mean, it would have been hard, but one of the best pieces of advice I ever got as a game master is that if you stat it out, the players will kill it. Which is why I liked earlier Shadowrun's rules for all their plot NPCs. Their stats were they roll till they succeed to the game master's preference.
Yeah, no,
There it is. There's your stat block. Have you lost yet? You shouldn't have picked that fight.
Yeah, no, that actually kind of sounds like how I run a lot of my campaigns. Like, I'm going to make up a number, and I'm going to have you roll for it. Like, part of the story that I've got written down for a script is Nex doing an arm wrestling contest with a group of orcs. He ended up arm wrestling unknowingly the leader, ended up beating the leader, and became the new leader of the group of orcs. Which, I mean, I'm not going to spoil what happens next, but yeah, lots of stuff. Nex's best roll was the worst roll possible for that town. And like all of the other players at the time ended up buffing Nex up with like all sorts of aid and help and stuff like that. You know, like I think the bard was like, here's bardic inspiration, so you get your die, and here's a +1 buff from the cleric, like, yeah, and it was just like by one, Nex won that.
Oh, that's the best.
Oh yeah,
it is. Wins.
Especially since I rolled low on my number. Like, I came up with a number that was like, okay, this guy gets plus this. And then I rolled it, and it rolled low, and Nex's number, and Nex had all these buffs, and it was just like, so the low roll with everything was still really friggin' high, but like, Nex beat it by 1. I think it was something like 25 to 24, or something like that.
That's great.
Oh yeah. Related to what you were saying earlier with getting a bunch of money all at once. I'm playing in a game, not with our group, but in another group as a player, where the GM just gave us 4,000 gold each, and we each get our own estate because we helped a dragon take over a keep. She's just like now controls the area. So we all became barons and baronesses, and my character is Avayas. She's a human bard, so
I mean, Bard's gonna do what Bard's gonna do.
Yeah, see, I hate bards with a passion, but only because, like, in real life, I would be a bard. Like, but also, it's like, I used to really hate bards because they just seemed like rogues that weren't good at being rogues. But, like...
That is true for most of their existence in D&D.
But, like, the 5th edition rules are great for them, and I love it. Because it's like, they do feel very distinct from the rogue. So it's not just like a rogue that doesn't get sneak attack and can play an instrument. It's now like, its own actual thing. Like, they can fill various roles. They can be healers. They can, be sneaky thieves. There's even in Xanathar's Guide a Bard of Shadows, where like you can make people think things that are wrong, or something like that. You get this as like an ability or something, but so like. I didn't build Avayas as a Bard of Shadows because I didn't have access to Xanathar's Guide at the time. So, like, she's a Bard of lore, and she is working on Bard stuff, but mostly she just pretends to be a princess with her false identity. And, like, actually got them into the castle to begin with by acting like a privileged, spoiled brat.
That's great.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she has all the official paperwork and everything. Like,
of course.
Yeah.
Wait. Do you not?
So, like, she got past the wizard and got in, and then it's just like, yeah, we need to summon a dragon now. Where are we gonna put this thing? It was very interesting. Oh my god. For some reason, this character just, like, fawns over reptilian humanoids. I don't know why. It's like, I've had, like, I talk to my characters. I'm like, oh, yes, why do you do this? And it's like, well, because they're hot. Like, no, but, like, seriously, why? It's just like, oh, goodness. Even as a GM, I have trouble controlling my characters sometimes.
Well, that's what makes it fun. Like, that's what's different from role-playing on tabletop to video games. Like, I've been playing Kingdom Hearts 3.
Ooh, I'm so excited to play that, but I don't have a PS3 or 4 or whatever.
Yeah, it's bad.
It is?
Well, okay, I need to qualify that. It is not a good game.
What?
It's not a good game. Like, there's a very interesting story happening, but that has nothing to do with the gameplay.
No, that's fair.
And, like, this is a long-term thing I hate about JRPGs in general, but, like, the way it's structured, it's, here is 10 minutes of, like, cartoon, and, alright, it's time for your murder jog. Have you murdered everything you can murder? Well, it's time for another 10 minutes of cartoon, and it's just very, it's off-putting to me. Because I've gotten used to playing games on role-playing where, like, unexpected things happen, and my choices have consequences, and, like, there's like a dynamic. Talk about Apocalypse World, because I think it's
oh my god,
the best at making that happen mechanically.
I love that game. Like, I love that system.
Like, Apocalypse World's really designed to create an avalanche of story, and it's frustrating to me as someone interested in game design and game mastering, and it's like more automated variations. Like, the game I compare Kingdom Hearts 3 against, and this is unfair because this is just one of the best games ever made. It's called System Shock 2.
I haven't played that yet.
You absolutely should. It's one of the best games ever, and it's scary. Like, that game scares me. I'm terrified of it, and it's one of the only games I've ever played that manages to keep the tension of, oh no, oh no, oh no, for the entire game.
Huh.
And, like, it's from 1999, so, you like, this isn't the graphics doing things.
Right.
But, like, the way the game is set up, the mechanics and the way you interact with them, forces you to be very concerned over whether you will die at every point. Because, like, you have the resources to screw up and, like, just win a fight because you have more bullets and health, but then, what about 3 fights from now when you need those bullets and you needed those health for something really dangerous?
Oh, you know, that actually reminds me. There's this, it's kind of like a graphic novelish type game. It's called Long Live the Queen. And the way it's set up is you need to train certain skills with, like, you take classes during the week and you get these skills to raise. But then at the end of the week, different events happen. And if you're not trained in the right skills based on the choices you've made, you can easily die. And, like, that's actually the whole point of the game, is to get to your coronation without dying. And it is so hard.
That's awesome.
And there's so many paths, so you never know what's going to happen if you take a different path. Like, if you go visit your father one day, you know, 1 week that you didn't do in your last playthrough, you could end up on this whole other path where you end up as a magical girl. Or you can actually become, like, an evil warrior queen.
Nice.
This
sounds like a great game.
Oh, yeah, it's great. And, like, it would be so easy to convert that to a phone game, but, like, it's only on, like, Steam, which is really weird.
It seems like something that someone should do.
Yeah, the developer.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking, rip off the structure and.
I would not be able to. There's even, like, a hidden mechanic where it's like, this is your, I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically, like, your evil stat, where it's like, the higher the number is, the more evil you've been. So your ending ends up darker based on this number.
That's
pretty,
like, great.
Yeah, if you're evil enough, the big bad at the end, if you manage to get all the way through, apparently, if you're evil enough, you can just walk up to the big bad and just be like, yeah, I work for you now. Like, again, this is like a graphic novel type game thing. Like, it's
Yeah.
one of those, it's like the dating sim format, but like, it's so
That's
much more
good.
complex.
Yeah, that's nice. That reminds me of Ogre Battle 64. You ever hear of that?
I have not, no.
It's a pretty obscure N64 game.
Well, I figured it was a
Yeah,
64
I mean,
game.
where else do you get that number at the end? But it's a strategy game, and I won't explain the mechanics or anything because it's complicated. But there are like 6 or 7 endings, and depending on how you go about playing
That's
the
pretty
game,
impressive for like an N64 game.
yeah. They have a mechanic where you would either liberate cities or capture them, and there's a hidden stat called Chaos Frame, where the lower your Chaos Frame, the eviler you were, the higher it is, the better you were.
Okay.
Instead of good and evil, this game had order
Right.
and chaos. For reasons that are actually metaphysically complicated, because it's a series. So if you were bad enough in the game, you'd have the main cast of the previous game come try and fight and stop you.
Oh, that's awesome!
Yeah, it's like a bonus level, but only if you were the worst.
That like reminds me of this idea that's been floating around Tumblr where it's like, you're a villager. All these adventurers keep coming in and stealing your frigging cabbages. So you said, you buy pets and stuff, and you set up beggar walls, and eventually you have, and as you kill adventurers, you get more loot from the adventure.
And one day you wake up and you're the big bad
Yeah.
evil.
And then you realize that you will never be free of these adventures. And I just love the concept of this game because it's a tower defense game, and I love tower defense games. Like Plants vs. Zombies,
yeah.
Balloons Towers Defense, I love those. But like it has that added element of like you don't know what's coming in, so you have to build for everything. Like that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Especially if like at the end you get to have like all these skills and magic items that you like and play it like first person shooter type deal or like a fantasy RPG type deal. Like anybody that gets through it initiates like a fight with a controller. Like that would be great.
Yeah, that's a really cool premise.
Yeah, and like again, it's been floating around on Tumblr for a while, and well, I mean Tumblr's now dead. Well, not dead. It's just its heart
dead.
and soul.
It's just dead.
Well,
Let's not pretend.
Yeah.
Like there might be a Tumblr still there, but it's dead.
Well, more like brain dead. Tomato, tomato.
Column B.
Yeah, but anyway, I think that would probably be a great place to stop for now.
Agreed.
Because like this actually went on a bit longer than I thought it would. So
Yeah, it turns out we can talk
yeah, weird.
endlessly.
Yeah, so anyway, this is going to go up on YouTube. Maybe we'll put it on another thing. So, I guess I should say the whole, like, subscribe, and...
No, don't subscribe. We don't want your kind here, whoever you are.
But we do?
Yeah, we're very needy, but we're covering up that fact. Please love us.
Also the little bell.
Oh yeah, the little bell.
Any music, we'll put links in the doobly-doo.
Yeah.
Also, if you're listening to this on not YouTube, then...
How? How did you do that? Tell us.
God damn.
I just don't know. Like, I want to find out.
I
Curious.
figure we're going to put it somewhere else as well. Like on a
well, then that will
podcast
not
thing.
age well.
Oh,
but I stand by
probably
it. I stand by that comment.
Like, it's gonna, like, be unaged instantly when I, like, upload it to, like, iTunes or something.
Yeah. Well, that's not my problem. I will never know what's on iTunes.
That's entirely my problem, apparently. But anyway, if you're still listening at this point, kudos to you, because goddamn, we're annoying.
Hilarious, I think, but I am biased. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. We've had a good time doing this. We'll probably do a couple more of them.
Yeah, maybe one or two.
A week, forever.
Well,
Until you stop us.
Or until we retire. Because we've made so much money off this free thing.
I have questions about that, but I guess we'll save those for after. Anyway, thanks again for listening. We hope you had a good time.
Yep, this is Dicey Logic, Vera, and Steven signing off. Thank you so much. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff. And hope you have a great week. Bye.